Hi everyone, and welcome to the Daily Citizen News Update. This week we're covering the confirmation hearings for Judge Amy Coney Barrett, as well as where things stand in the 2020 presidential campaign. But first, we need to talk about a very serious issue: censorship. This week, the New York Post ran several stories alleging Hunter Biden leveraged his relationship with his father, then Vice President Joe Biden, for major illegal financial gain. Those are, of course, serious allegations, and if proven true, would likely have some impact on the upcoming election. In response to the story, Biden campaign spokesman Andrew Bates said that the meeting was not on Biden's official schedules and did not take place as alleged. Bates did not address the possibility or validity of an unofficial meeting occurring. When the New York Post first published the story, it began to go viral on social media platforms, including Twitter and Facebook. However, within hours, the two tech giants were preventing the story from being shared either publicly or privately. To provide some background, the New York Post is not a fringe, far-right publication. It was founded in 1801 by Alexander Hamilton and is the oldest continuously published newspaper in the United States. As journalists, we try to maintain a bias-free and balanced approach to every story we cover, as do we assume the reporters at the New York Post, or MSNBC, or Fox News, or CNN, or the New York Times. You may not agree that every one of the outlets I just mentioned is without bias, and you could be right. But that's why free speech and freedom of the press is so important. It's why being able to have differing viewpoints on a story matter. In our country, we don't censor speech just because we happen to disagree with it, or because it may impact a political process either negatively or positively. Instead, the press is supposed to diligently investigate stories and then present that information to you, the public, through their website and social media for consideration. This process allows the American public to make decisions based on information from multiple, sometimes competing sources. But in the end, the decision is supposed to rest with you, not Twitter or Facebook. What happened here is actually happening to Christian believers with increasing frequency, and it's something that should be addressed. Section 230 of the Communication Decency Act states, "No provider or user of an interactive computer service shall be treated as the publisher or speaker of any information provided by another information content provider." In other words, as the law currently stands, Facebook and Twitter are supposed to only act as the pipeline for information, not as an arbiter or editor of that content. Section 230 essentially gives social media platforms protections from liability against what posters may say, shielding them from slander and liable lawsuits, and in essence, preventing very little accountability. This would be fine if indeed Facebook and Twitter were only conveying information instead of editing it. Whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent, or someone who doesn't even care about politics, no matter where you fall on the political spectrum, Facebook and Twitter's actions this week should be concerning to you. They're concerning to us because just this week, an article our own Zach Metler wrote was marked as false news, despite the fact that Zach reported the facts as stated by a federal agency. If social media companies continue to censor information you have the right to see, the damage to our society, political systems, and in fact our very way of life could be irreparable. Hopefully, tech companies and lawmakers from both sides of the aisle can come together and fix the problem before it's too late. The fate of our republic demands that they do. Moving to other news, this week Judge Amy Coney Barrett began her Senate confirmation hearings on Capitol Hill. With more on that story, Bruce Halsknecht.
This week, the Senate Judiciary Committee held hearings on the nomination of Judge Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court. The questioning by senators on both sides of the aisle took many hours across 2 days. There were high points and low points during the hearings. On the plus side, there was no questioning of Judge Barrett's religious faith, as had been feared we would see. We also had the chance to watch the judge as she skillfully explained difficult legal concepts with ease. Barrett, who is a former law professor at Notre Dame and currently sits on the 7th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Chicago, proved herself to be intellectually and judicially qualified to sit on the nation's highest court. We also got to see the human side of Judge Barrett, who was accompanied by her husband Jesse and most of her 7 children and her own brothers and sisters. We found out that she plays the piano, the family has a pet chinchilla, and that her youngest son Benjamin, who has Down syndrome, is the family's unanimous favorite. On the negative side, however, we did see liberal senators try to get Judge Barrett to commit to voting a certain way on their pet issues, whether it was abortion or Obamacare or voting rights. Barrett answered that while she couldn't commit on any issue, she could assure the senators she was bringing no agenda with her to the High Court. The committee will vote on her in a week, and the full Senate will then vote shortly thereafter. Barring any unforeseen events, Barrett will take her seat on the court around Election Day.
Thanks, Bruce. Finally this week, will Judge Barrett become a feminist icon on the right, much like Justice Ginsburg was on the left? With more on that possibility, Brittany Raymer.
During this week's Supreme Court confirmation hearing, California Senator Dianne Feinstein asked Judge Amy Coney Barrett how she balances being a wife, scholar, judge, and mother of 7 children, including one with special needs. Barrett responded saying that, quotes, "It's improv." Barrett's life and accomplishments at the highest level showed that decisions progressives and pro-abortion activists often criticize, like children and the so-called patriarchal institution of marriage, are not hindrances to success. In many ways, this week, Amy Coney Barrett has given women a new definition of feminism, one that's not beholden to bra-burning, male-bashing, and the legacy of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but one that celebrates family, career, motherhood, and faith.
Thanks, Brittany. Those are the top stories our team is covering this week. Be sure to visit thedailycitizen.org for breaking news and electoral updates, and we'll see you next time.